Hello everyone, welcome to Teinte Season 2. This is the first episode of many to come in the series. I sincerely hope you enjoy it, and today for this first episode we're just going to go through the beat breakdown for my first Teinte Season 2 song called Hat. I hope you really like it, and I hope that you can learn a few little things from it as well, from the way that I produced this track. So let's get into it. Alright, so we're here in my Ableton project here for this track. So what I wanted to do for this track was kind of create like an electronic, lo-fi, hip-hop kind of vibe, whilst using a lot of samples that I would manipulate and use the audio and manipulate it to create new audio. So let's just jump right in and let's look at the main sample here. So it's a Capsun Pro audio sample off of one of their sample packs, which is really cool. It's just like a cassette type of like sample pack. So this is the main sample here without its effects. There we go. So this is actually pitch shifted to from the original. So now we're going to add a bit of magnetite tape recorder, there we go, and a bit of a compressor, which is sidechained to the kick in our track. So there we go. What magnetite does is add a bit of tape warmth to it. I've added some wow flutter to make it sound a bit more tapey. If you look down here, we have also a vinyl from Isotope Audio and the main reverb in the audio effects panel for Ableton. This is because as we open the track in the intro, I pitch shifted the sample an octave down to create this nice little swelling intro and to make it sound a bit grungier as well. So then it hops back into the normal sample. So as you can see, the sound is kind of like ducking. That's because in the drum loop that we have here, there's a big kick. There we go. So this was a Cymatics drum loop that I've used. I was feeling a little lazy that day. So just use the drum loop as well that I've moved some samples around inside of the drum loop just to give it a bit of a different feel and not just textbook takes the drum loop and put it in there. Just, customize it a little bit, make it my own. Now for this main part, which I think it would be called like the chorus. So we have the piano sample, we have the drum loop, and we also have a bass. So this is actually a sample that I've made on the Moog Grandmother, and I've recorded it, and I use it on multiple tracks as well. So it's just a sample in one of my many sample packs. To it, I've added what I've called my bass source. And so in the bass source, we have an EQ to filter out the high end a little bit, just to give it a more round full bass sound. A slow pan chorus to make it a bit wider. The bit warmer saturator effect, which is just found here in the Ableton Live audio effects panel, and a bit of a compressor which compresses the sound and is also sidechained to the drum loop, or when I have a kick I'll sidechain it to the kick. So that's what I've done there, and just to brighten it up a little bit, I've added a bit of a chime sound effect just as we enter the main part. It's just a nice little addition to the sounds. So that's basically what happens in the main part. Now I've added a lot of little audio sound candy in there, as well as like drum fills. Like we have this nice little drum fill here, which kind of like means, oh, we're going to change part, but it's still going to be in the same part. So it's just like something's going to happen, something's going to change, and it's going to keep the audience involved. So if you put that in play, so something's about to happen, it's building up really slowly, and then where it just happens to boom, drop there. Now in that second part of the main part, I add a bit of a shaker loop and a perk effect. That's just to make the whole sound change a little bit and add a bit of groove to the main part. There you go. So structure-wise, to create this new change, I've taken out the drums to make the whole sound a bit simpler and to introduce that shaker loop as the main percussive element. And then the main loops, the main whole drum loop comes back in to really take the whole thing together. And we go into the new part, which was kind of like the more electronic, trappy, hip-hop part of this song, still using that main sample. So if we go back to that sample, I've put it in a chopper and I've chopped it up in a way that it creates a bit of a more rhythmic aspect to that sample. There you go. So my goal for this part was to really make it big, fun, and adventurous as well. So I wanted to, you know, make it big. So I've changed the bass sound to a 808, which is a Cymatics 808. It's the Apex 808 from one of their sample packs, free sample packs. They're amazing. You can go download them on their website. So it just goes with the same timing as the melody chops. And I've also used the bass to reharmonize the main melody chop as well to create a bit of a different part. This is where our reharm comes in. There we go. So it's just to add a bit of a different feel to it. I've also added a bit of a pluck sound right here. There we go. So one's down an octave, one's higher an octave. Now also in this main part, I've also added drum loops from Cymatics that I wanted to resample and remove. So we have this main trappy kind of loop. There we go. And also in this part, I wanted everything to be kind of like jumpy and really rhythmic. So I added a lot of like sound effects. So we have a nice little hey. We also have a bit of a shaker, which I cut up and added a bit of a reverb to. And when it plays the second time around, it's just a bit longer. And pitch shift it up. We also have a little kind of like sound effect just to punch it there, and then we have a bit of a glitch which pitches up. So that's kind of nice all together. Now here we go. Now you hear the drum fill once again being played here. It's a bit of a different one though this time around. There we go. So it was just to introduce a new part. So we have in this new part we have the same effects perk that we had here, just to really bring back that familiar sound of the change up. And we're going to add a bit more drums and percussive elements. So in this part, just added a bit of a different hi-hat loop on top of the main drum loop that we had already, and re-shifted that up a bit. So we added this one. There we go. So with the drum loop, instead of being like this, we go into this. So it just adds a bit more intensity to it. So there we go. Now I wanted to keep this track kind of on the instrumental electronic side of things. So to do that, I wanted to keep things pretty simple but quite full. So now we're going back into our main part, and for it to make sense, I just swelled the first chord that we had in the main sample backward. and we go back into the main sample here. We add a bit of the chimes to go with it, and then we bring the drum loop back at this point. Now this is where the interesting part of this goes. I wanted to change key and have a completely new feel to the song and make it a bit dirtier and a bit grungier. So to do that in the main sample, in this part here, I've just used the sample editor here and went into the arm little arm function here down here and changed the envelope from clip volume to clip transposition. And at the end I just automated it to go down by 5 semitones in a curve, and to show that we're going to go down 5 semitones overall. So that brings us to the new sample that we have. So to introduce that sample as well, I've reversed the first chord of the new sample backwards at the same time as that pitches down. So it's kind of like pitching down, going up in the volume, and going into this new key. So straight away we get that bass off the bat, which is an element we haven't heard of in a little while. So that bass is also pitch shifted down, and everything else is pitch shifted down to fit in the same key. So we're introduced to that, which gives it a new motion as well. And then we're going to bring back the drum loop at this point, and the shaker loop. So now at this point, everything is obviously lower in pitch and sounds a bit grungier, so we're missing a bit of that high-end frequency spectrum. So to fill that, I just wanted to add a bit of a new percussive element that we haven't heard before, which is just a perk loop with very high transient sounds. So it's like very kind of like woody and batteny, so that it's at the top there and we can hear it, and it adds groove and it adds rhythm. So this is the perk loop that we're adding. Yep, so to that I've just added a bit of a reverb, the Phoenix verb. Yeah, so with that. And that's how the song basically ends. Now from a mixing and mastering point of view, what I like to try and do is mix the beat as I go, so making sure all the elements are at the right volume and all that while I create the song, while I structure the song, and that so that my master doesn't go into the red in the channel, so the beat, and then obviously I add a bit of a mastering chain as well. So what I usually do is use the Isotope Audio Ozone 9 elements. So to that I've just added a bit of an EQ, so bring up the high end and taking out the low end. No imager, but a maximizer, so we have our threshold and our true peak and our ceiling there, and transient emphasis and all that, as well as the main functions that you see on this side of the screen here. So there you go. That's the first beat, Hat. I hope you enjoyed this beat breakdown. The next one will be coming very shortly. The first song, Hat, Off Talent Season 2, should be out on streaming platforms as well, so if you'd like this beat breakdown and want to hear the full track, go on and listen to that. The link should be in the description down below. Links to Cymatics will also be there if you want to grab some of the free sample packs that they have on their website as well. They're really interesting, and some have really cool sounds that you can use to manipulate and all that, and I really encourage you to do that and take as much free resources as you can. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you very shortly in the next video. Cheers.